Cristiano Ronaldo was never supposed to make it.
Cristiano Ronaldo, who can reach areas other footballers.
Walking work of art.
Something close to genius. It is a sensation. Ronaldo!
Not really. Not from where he came from. Not from a small house in Santo Antonio on the island of Madeira, where the rooms were tight, the fridge was often empty, and the dreams always felt too far away. He wasn't born into football. He was born into struggle, into a family that worked for every inch of progress. His father, a kit man with a drinking problem. His mother, doing everything she could to keep things together. It wasn't glamorous. It was survival. And through all of it, Ronaldo had one obsession. One ball, one game, one goal. To be great. He started at Andorinha, the same club where his father cleaned the kits. Just a wiry kid with more drive than direction, darting around the pitch like it meant everything. Because to him, it did. He couldn't stand losing. He'd cry when things didn't go his way, not out of entitlement, but because the game was personal. Every match felt like life or death. Every goal was a step out of his reality. By the time he was 9, people knew there was something different in his movement. Not just the speed, but the belief, the refusal to accept anything average. He played like he knew he was bigger than the field he was on, like he was chasing something only he could see. At Nacional, the talent became impossible to ignore. Soon after, Sporting CP came knocking, the biggest opportunity of his life. But to take it, he had to leave everything behind. 12 years old, alone in Lisbon, hundreds of miles from home. The accent was mock, the clothes were wrong. The other kids didn't like him, but he didn't shrink. He trained harder, he ran faster, he hit the ball cleaner. He didn't just want to fit in, he wanted to leave everyone else behind. There were days he cried himself to sleep, missing home, missing family, but he never let the sadness stop the work. If anything, it fueled it. At 15, his heart almost stopped it all. A racing heartbeat, too fast, too dangerous. Surgery followed. For a moment, the dream hung in the balance, but it was never going to end there. Days later, he was back on the pitch, like it had never happened, like he knew he wasn't done yet. By 16, he was training with Sporting's first team. By 17, he was playing like he belonged. And then, at 18, he faced Manchester United in a friendly and destroyed them. Stepovers, speed, control. Sir Alex Ferguson didn't need a second look. The deal was made almost instantly. No pudaro que se comen playing off the streets. From the concrete streets of Madeira to the lights of Old Trafford, Ronaldo's journey wasn't a fairy tale. It was a fight, and every step, every struggle, every hour spent alone with the ball, it all mattered, because greatness doesn't just appear. Sometimes it starts on an island, in silence, with a kid who just refuses to quit. When Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at Manchester United in 2003, he was raw chaos in football boots. 18 years old, all limbs and flair, with gelled hair and a smile that bordered on cocky. He didn't look like the Premier League. He didn't play like it either. He was too flashy, too light, too obsessed with beating his man rather than beating the scoreboard. But Sir Alex Ferguson saw something beneath the tricks, something wild and unfinished but dangerous, and he knew if he could shape it, he'd have a monster on his hands. The early days were frustrating. Fans loved the excitement, but pundits questioned the substance. Too many stepovers, not enough end product. He was a showman who didn't yet understand that in England, style means nothing without goals. But while the world judged, Ronaldo was already plotting, already working. He trained like no one else. Stayed behind when training ended, hit the gym before most players even arrived. He studied tapes, he watched himself, picked himself apart. He wasn't chasing applause, he was chasing improvement. Every session was war, against his own limits, against anyone who doubted him. Slowly, he started to change. The flair didn't go away, but it found purpose. He became stronger, faster, more ruthless. His body transformed. The skinny kid was gone, replaced by a weapon carved from hours in the gym and years of hunger. By the 2006-07 season, he wasn't a prospect anymore. He was a problem. Goals started to come. Assists, match-winning performances. He didn't just evolve, he exploded. And then came 2007-08, the season where Ronaldo broke the game. 42 goals, a Premier League title, a Champions League trophy, a Ballon d'Or. It wasn't just dominance, it was inevitability. He could score with either foot, destroy teams on the counter, rise into the air like gravity didn't apply. He had mastered every angle. And the scariest part was that it all looked planned. Nothing was lucky, nothing was accidental. It was execution, perfected through obsession. At United, he learned how to win, how to lead, how to turn moments into medals. Sir Alex had sharpened his instincts and chiseled away the ego, leaving behind a player who wasn't just electric, he was efficient. He had learned that the best way to silence critics wasn't with words, it was with goals, and he scored them like it was a compulsion. By the time Real Madrid came calling in 2009, Ronaldo wasn't just a star, he was a phenomenon. Manchester had given him the tools, the discipline, the mentality, and in return, he gave them brilliance, goals, glory, greatness. He arrived a boy with dreams. He left a monster the world couldn't ignore. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't walk into Real Madrid. He arrived. 94 million euros, flashbulbs, thousands at the Bernabeu. Not for a match, but just to watch him juggle a ball and smile. It wasn't a transfer, it was an event. And yet, for all the spectacle, all the hype, Ronaldo didn't treat it like a moment of arrival. He treated it like a new beginning, like the stage he'd been waiting for. Madrid didn't know it yet, but they weren't just signing a superstar. They were welcoming a storm. From day one, it was ruthless. The Ronaldo at Madrid wasn't the flashy winger from Manchester, full of feints and flourishes. This was something more direct, more refined. He came to destroy, to break records, to rewrite football in his image. The stepovers were fewer, the smiles rarer. Every run was sharp, every shot was violent. Every goal, and there were so many, felt personal. He didn't just score, he produced 50 goals a season, then 60, then another 50. He averaged more than a goal per game across 9 seasons. A stat that sounds like a typo until you realize it's not. Week after week, year after year, he made the impossible feel routine. His left foot, his right foot, his head, it didn't matter. He scored from every angle. Madrid gave him the stage. He gave them history. 4 Champions League titles, 2 La Liga trophies, countless nights where he carried the badge like it was stitched to his heart. And when he finally left in 2018, he was the standard. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just play in big games. He thrived in them. He fed on them. Pressure wasn't something he avoided. It was something he owned. While others tightened up when everything was on the line, Ronaldo became sharper, more focused, more dangerous. In the Champions League, the biggest club stage in the world, he became a myth. 50 goals in the knockout rounds alone, more than most legends have in the entire competition. He turned the most difficult games into routines. A hat-trick against Wolfsburg to save Madrid from elimination, another against Atletico in a semi-final, clutch goals against Bayern, against PSG, against Chelsea, and then there was that night in Turin, when he rose literally above the Juventus defense and sent a bicycle kick into the top corner. It wasn't just a goal, it was a reminder. You can't stop this man, not when it matters. The finals were the same story. He didn't hide behind teammates, he led. 4 Champions League trophies with Madrid, 1 with United. In 3 of those finals, he scored. In all of them, he dominated. Even when he didn't find the net, his presence shifted the game. Defenders didn't gamble against him. Goalkeepers adjusted their positioning. Managers built entire plans around trying to stop him. And most of the time, they failed. With Portugal, it was no different. For years, he carried the hopes of a nation that had come close but never quite reached the top. Then came Euro 2016. The final started horribly. He went down injured early, tears in his eyes, his dreams slipping away. But even from the sidelines, he turned into something else. A coach, a captain, a symbol. And Portugal, against all odds, lifted the trophy. 3 years later, he returned to the spotlight in the Nations League. Another final, another title. Another reminder that when silverware is up for grabs, Ronaldo finds a way. And the thing is, it's not luck. It's not chance. It's built. He trained for those moments. Repetition. Obsession. He didn't wait to be the hero. He made sure he was ready to become one. Over and over again. In football, plenty of players shine when it's easy, when the opponent is weak, when the scoreline is comfortable. But only a few show up when everything is at stake, and even fewer change the outcome by stepping onto the pitch. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just show up in big games. He owned them. That's the difference. That's the legacy. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't become the greatest goal scorer in football history by chance. He wasn't born with a golden boot or gifted with some divine instinct to finish. He built it, obsessed over it, evolved into it. What started as a flashy winger doing stepovers near the corner flag slowly transformed into the most ruthless goal machine the game has ever seen. It wasn't magic, it was method, and it was terrifying. In the early days at Manchester United, he was chaos. He'd sprint down the right wing, beat 3 defenders just to beat a 4th. He wanted to humiliate opponents, to dance past them, to put on a show. He scored, but that wasn't the point yet. He was still becoming, still learning how to turn brilliance into destruction. Sir Alex Ferguson helped shift the mindset, taught him that goals win games, that efficiency matters more than flair. Ronaldo listened, and then he changed. The transformation accelerated in Madrid. There, everything sharpened. The movement became calculated, the touches cleaner, the instincts surgical. He wasn't playing for the crowd anymore. He was playing for numbers, for records, for legacy. He didn't just want to score, he needed to. He started cutting inside instead of staying wide, started timing runs instead of chasing every ball. And as the years went on, he became colder, more clinical. He could beat you with a header, a left foot strike, a one-touch finish, a free kick that defied physics. He didn't care how the goal came, only that it did. His body followed the same plan. He sculpted himself into something out of a sports science manual. Lean muscle, explosive legs, zero fat. He trained like an Olympic sprinter, recovered like a triathlete, and moved like a panther. Even in his 30s, when most players fade, Ronaldo was breaking personal records, still outrunning defenders, still leaping higher, still smashing goals from impossible angles. He adapted, evolved, refused to slow down. Eventually, he shifted into a pure striker. The winger was gone. The dribbler had matured into a finisher who could win a match with one touch. He didn't need space anymore. Just a yard, a second, a mistake. He'd punish you without blinking, and he kept doing it, over and over, across England, Spain, Italy, Portugal, Europe, the world. It wasn't natural, it was built, crafted like a weapon, perfected over decades. Ronaldo didn't just chase goals, he redefined what it meant to score them. He turned the art of finishing into science, into repetition, into domination. And when you watched him, you weren't just seeing a player in form, you were seeing the result of an obsession. That's why it lasted. That's why it scared people. Because he wasn't playing the game, he was mastering it. For years, Cristiano Ronaldo was the headline, the front page, the center frame, the story everyone wanted to write. Every goal was news, every expression, every celebration, every step he took was magnified. But somewhere along the way, the admiration started to turn. Slowly, subtly, the applause faded into analysis. The coverage became colder. The same media that once built him up with breathless praise began sharpening their knives. Greatness, it seemed, had an expiration date in their eyes, and Ronaldo had passed it. Age became the talking point. The smile became ego, the confidence became arrogance. The very things that once defined his rise were now used against him. Every decision he made, every missed training session, every subbed out glare, every clipped quote was spun into controversy. And if there wasn't a story, one would be written anyway. The return to Manchester United was supposed to be poetic, a hero's homecoming. Instead, it became a media feeding frenzy. When he scored, they called him selfish. When he didn't, they said he was finished. He couldn't win. Not with the press, not with the pundits. Suddenly, the man who had dragged teams to titles was being blamed for dressing room tension, tactical imbalance, and every loss that came with a broken squad. He went from headline hero to scapegoat in record time. Then came the interview, the one that lit everything on fire. And maybe he knew it would. Maybe he'd had enough. Enough of the noise, enough of the stories that ignored his impact, twisted his motives, and tried to write his ending before he was ready to close the chapter himself. It was raw, unfiltered, and for some, unforgivable. But for him, it was the truth, his truth. The move to Al Nassr that followed was framed like exile, like a fall, like the final page of a great novel that didn't quite stick the landing. But that view misses everything that made Ronaldo who he is. He didn't run from Europe. He didn't fold under pressure. He made a choice, one the media couldn't control. And that, maybe more than anything, is what they never liked about him. He always moved on his terms. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't fade from the spotlight. The spotlight turned its back, not because he stopped being great, but because greatness isn't always allowed to outlast the story built around it. But the goals never stopped. The work never stopped. And whether the media liked it or not, the fire never stopped burning. Because he never played for their approval, he played to win. And he's still doing exactly that. Cristiano Ronaldo didn't just inspire a generation, he set the standard they're still chasing. You can see his shadow in the way today's stars train, the way they eat, move, think. He turned greatness into something methodical, something replicable, even if no one's truly managed to replicate it. For young players growing up in the last 20 years, Ronaldo wasn't just a footballer. He was the blueprint. Not born into the game's elite, not handed a golden path. He built himself from scratch, and in doing so, showed millions that obsession, not just talent, is what separates good from great. So remember the goals, yes, but remember the fire, the nights when everything was on the line and he stood taller than the rest. Remember the transformation, the hunger, the way he turned ambition into legacy. Because prime Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't just greatness. He was greatness, weaponized. And no matter how fast the game moves, the world shouldn't forget that. Not now, not ever.
Maybe someone's don't like me because maybe I'm too good.
I don't follow the records follow me. In my mind, I'm always the best.